And then I'm gonna share my screen. I didn't mean to do that. That's okay. Will still work. Okay. This is the jesuitportland.org page. What I'd like you to think about is how to get to the Clark Library page. So under students, you can go to Clark Library. The second option is under academics, go to Clark Library. Both of these links will take you to the general information page about the Clark Library. But what I'm going to have you remember to do is do the click here. This is where we have access to all the online resources, stuff about citations and the research guides. The third tab is the research guides. That's the important tab that you're going to be using today. So you go to the third tab, all organized by the subject area. Under history in the middle is science. So the second link, not the general science, but the second LibGuide is the Atomic Theory Scientist Slide Deck Zine Fall 2021. That's you. So you'll click on that and we'll open up to this. This is the slide deck that you'll be using today and during the next couple of weeks to work on this research project. You're going to be doing some research and the final product will be a zine. A zine is like a mini magazine on a given topic. And before the pandemic, before last year, all the zines were done in by paper. We used colored paper and stuff, and it had other paper mounted them. And so the one on the right here, you'll see that's the paper zine version. And then last year, because of the pandemic, we went to an electronic zine via using Google Slides. And so these are two other examples. But if you don't want to do it on the computer, it's up to you, but you don't have to do it on the computer. You can do it just right on paper and then upload it to the zine. So that's the general overview. There's
Mr. Lum?
Yes.
Just a quick question, just because I had some students ask about this the other day. If they are going to do it on paper, can they come to the library to get some of that cool tape that they've seen on some of them?
Oh yeah, the washi tape. Yeah, we have lots of washi tape.
Okay, and they might want to stop by to maybe discuss how to bind it.
Yeah. We can do that too. Perfect. Good question. Thank you. We're going to look at some of the different sources that you're going to be using. The first one, the books tab. There are some really great ebooks, and the one that this first one under ebooks is Chemical Elements. It's from a Gale product. So we don't have the print version, we have the electronic version. So all the students in chemistry can use it at one time. That's one way to look at it. You can access it online too. So what you need to do is click on Chemical Elements. It will ask you for username and password because I just did it first period with Mr. Kemen's first period class. It didn't ask me for username and password. Those username and passwords are available from the Clark Library page here. I'm gonna go to here. Oops, what's happening here? Under online resources, there's 3 ways to access these passwords. These are all password protected because we don't want students not from Jesuit High School to use them. That's why I was asking you earlier if you had your planner. So the second to the last page in your planner lists the names of all the databases, so like Gale, EBSCO, New York Times, Britannica, etc., with the username and password for off-campus use. If you don't have your planner, the second way is to email lostpasswords@jesuitmail.org from your Jesuit Mail account. That's very important. Or the third way is you can click right here where it says click here and log on with your Canvas username and password, and it will open up the page of all the databases with the databases usernames and passwords. So those are the 3 different ways. So I'm going to hop back to the Chemical Elements. You're going to search where it says search within this publication, and I'm going to just choose boron and hit search. So here's the chemical element boron. Has all the information, most of the information you'll need. You'll be creating this yourself, but some of the other information that you'll need, the discovery, the physical properties, the isotopes, all the kind of really interesting stuff that I don't understand, but Mr. Cameron does. Two features I want to show you is saving to your Google Drive, so you can save it to your Jesuit Mail drive there by clicking that. And then the really cool option is the site, because you're going to be doing your works cited, so you're going to copy and paste that into your Google slide that has your citation. So you do need to cite 2 sources from the Clark Library, so this would be one of the sources. So besides the books tab, we have the databases and reference. Again, remember that you need the user and passwords. So any of these, this EBSCO one is good, Academic Search Premier. The Encyclopedia Britannica has solid information. So any of these, feel free to use. We just did a few examples where we found an element, a scientist, and some articles about physicists, and some articles about atomic theory over here. But remember, use these. You can cite them using that cite link. The EBSCO one has a different icon, but there is a citation for all those articles as well. Websites, we broke them into 3 different categories. So we have some links to some articles about atomic theory. The next one about articles about scientists, and the last one some general websites on science and science blogs. If you do these, you do have to create your own citation, which I'll talk later when we get to citation tools. Multimedia, you're going to be doing 1 page where you have to have a comic, a 3 to 4 frame comic. And so here are some comic book generators, that you can use: Pixton, Make Beliefs, or Storyboard That. They're free to use. You just have to create an account. Then we also embedded some TEDx videos and some videos on atomic theory here. We also have a few podcasts here that relate to atomic theory. If you listen to these, that's great. But and if you're getting information, you need to cite those. So again, you'd have to go to this last tab, Citation Tools, go to MLA Citation. You can see here on the right, so if you did a website, you click website, fill it, open up the drop-down menu. Maybe there's one author. What's the name of the author? What's the name of the title that what you're citing, the publisher, all that kind of information. Click the Create Citation below. We'll create it down here. You copy and paste that into Word once you've typed that. Or if you watch one of those TEDx videos, you hit video recording on the right here. Go through here, author, title, fill out all that information again, and then create citation below. So that's an explanation of all these different tools that we'll be looking at. I want to take you to the template. That's off the home page. So actually right now, I'd like everyone to get to this page on your iPad. So go ahead and go to jesuitportland.org, click on Clark Library, find that link below the picture of the kids under the skylight. You click here. The 3rd tab is the research guides. Under scientists, the 2nd link will take you here. See quickly. Give me a thumbs up if you've done that, if you're to this part here. See a few thumbs, waiting for a few more people. Lon Lemuel, thumbs up if you got it. Harrison's your thumb up there. Gavin. Okay. You're going to go open up the 3rd link for the links for the student template. So it looks like this. It's an 8-page slide deck. If you're on a computer, you do File, make a copy of the entire presentation. Go ahead and do that now. I believe if you're on your iPad, you need to do the 3 dots and find make a copy of the entire presentation. And to name it, I'm going to pretend I'm a student in Mr. Cannon's second period class. So I'm going to go up here. Oh, hold on. Delete the copy. You do last name, Lum, underscore Gregory. That's my first name, in case you didn't know. Underscore Kamen. Spell his name right. 2 M's, 2 N's, period 2. So put a 2 after it. That's the name of this slide deck. This is your slide deck. So when Mrs. FB, Miss Dickinson, or myself grade it, or Mr. Cameron grades it, we know whose slide deck this is. So when you do that, you should have a new copy open up like this. The name of it is what you just renamed it. And it should have all these different slides in it. So I'm just going to go ahead and explain all these different slides. I'm going to make the view a little bit larger so you can kind of, oops, see it. And I'm going to show you an example after I explain all the different slides. So this is the first cover of the magazine or zine that you're going to have. So you're going to call it Blank and the Atomic Theory. So Niels Bohr, Atomic Theory, or the name, Samuel Ting, whoever the name of your scientist and Atomic Theory. It has to have an image of your scientists, your name, fall 2021 is the date, period 2, Mr. Cameron. And then you're going to also find a barcode and paste a barcode on there. And that's the first slide. That's the cover. The second slide is your scientist discovery. You're going to have 3 paragraphs. The first paragraph, all these are in your own words. You're going to write an overview of your scientist's discovery. Let me just minimize this one thing here. And then you're going to have a second paragraph, again in your own words, explaining how the discovery was made. How did your scientist, stumble across this that relates to atomic theory? And then the third paragraph is a little bit longer, 5 to 7 sentences, a short biography of your scientists, okay? Maybe they had some challenges they had to overcome. What was their life like? So think about those. You need to have a related image. It does not have to be a picture of your scientist, but a related image on this slide as well, or this page. The third one is if your scientists were alive today. So some of your scientists are still alive, but most of the scientists you have are deceased. So you're going to project out, if they were alive today, what would your scientists be doing in regards to what they've done in the past? Maybe you learned something really interesting about themselves as a person. Maybe that person maybe had polio or something. So maybe today they might be trying to investigate, a better cure for polio than the polio vaccine or something. So think about that. You're going to try to project out what would they be doing today if they were alive. And so you need to relate it to one of these bulleted points. So maybe something in regards to the health pandemic we're in, maybe something in regards to what they may be doing maybe on social media, maybe a natural disaster they may be involved with, maybe global warming, hazardous waste, etc. I'm not going to read all those to you, but those are some of the things. I know a couple of the scientists were involved in the wars back in their time, so maybe they're involved in some kind of, war, something that's going on here globally or something. So think about that. What would your scientists be doing if they were alive today? So you have to have an image of your scientist. This must be a different image than your cover page slide on the first page. And then you're going to label it if whoever were alive today. Slide 4, you're going to create a comic. So you can call it Atomic Comic or Blank's Discovery and Me. Either way, that would be the title of this page. It's a 3 or 4 frame comic. If you're not a very good drawer, it's fine to use stick figures. It all must be in color. You can also, if you want to try one of those comic apps that we had on the multimedia tab, feel free to do that. A couple years ago, we had a lot of students draw a picture of their classroom sitting in science class being lectured by Mr. Cameron or Mr. Butcher as how that the discovery affects them today. That does not count. So if you do something like that, you won't get any points. So think about how that discovery affects you. Okay. That's slide 4. Slide 5, you can have 2 sets of bulleted points. The first set is about your scientist. So 3 bulleted points. These are not full sentences, short phrases, and they're fun, interesting, and or unusual facts about your scientists. If you say, my scientist was born in 1893 in Berlin, Germany, that is not fun, interesting, or unusual. Okay, so think about that. You have to look into their life, what's fun, interesting, or unusual about your scientists, 3 bulleted points. And your second set is fun, interesting, or unusual facts about or the uses of your element. Okay, so maybe your element is used in something with your phone, with iPhones or something. So think about, that would be interesting. Okay. Again, not full sentences, short phrases, and find one related image. And you're going to label this fun facts or fast facts. It doesn't matter. Either one would be sufficient. The next page is your element. Mr. Butcher, or Mr. Kamen will be grading all this information because I don't know if the natural occurring isotopes, the radioactivity, all that kind of stuff. So you have to have all these items here. Your Bohr model must be hand drawn. You can't take something off that Chemical Elements ebook. You have to draw your own, okay? Again, that must be in color, and then follow the rest of those different things that you need to do for this slide 6. And the name of it, the name of this page is just, you know, boron, plutonium, or whatever. Slide 7 is just a fun page, a fun activity page. And there's some examples there in the bullet points. You can do a word type puzzle. So it could be like a crossword puzzle, unscramble these words, word find. You could have a couple photos, and then what's the difference between the photos? So some people did, I think they used a comic app. They, you know, made up the scientist in the lab or something, or what was missing, or like he had a mustache in the first photo and not in the second photo, that kind of thing. Someone did a hidden object, so they hid a bunch of objects in this collage, and said, find the beaker, or find the whatever. A cryptogram, you could do a song or a poem. You can do a coloring page, some riddles, some memes. We had one kid last year did 2 or 3 really funny memes. That's a possibility. A maze. You also have to have a set of directions, a very short set of directions. So like, help the scientist find his or her theory through the maze, or name 5 differences between photo 1 and photo 2. So just short directions for this page. Any word activity used must have at least 10 words. And again, you can label this page any one of those 3 things: fun activity, activity time, or fun page. The last slide is 2 portions. The first portion is about the author, that's you, and that you need to have 3 to 5 sentences told in 3rd person. So I went right, I'm a librarian at Jesuit High School. I enjoy gardening and traveling and reading. I would say, Gregory Lum is a librarian at Jesuit High School. In his spare time, Gregory enjoys gardening, reading, and traveling. Okay, and then I would include a photo of myself or a selfie. I would need to be in Jesuit dress code, so make sure the photo is appropriate. And then at the bottom, you'd write 2021 Seder Press. Your works cited has to have at least 2 sources, all from the resource pages that I just showed you. You do have to follow MLA formatting. Remember the hanging indent, putting them in alphabetical order, the correct italicizing. It's a little difficult to do it in Google Slide Deck, so you may want to do it in Word or Google Docs. Take a screenshot of it and then paste it into this slide. So that's the general overview. Any questions in the chat about any of the pages? So if you could say, I'm not sure about slide 7, and then ask your question, go ahead and do that in the Zoom chat now. Okay, no questions. Well, that's really great. Okay, I'm going to show you a couple examples from last year. So here's one. I need to, hold on. So this is Ellie Gianola's. Here's her first slide, her first page. Oops, what's happening here? So she has her period 3 butcher, the date, picture of her scientist. So last year they had to do 2 paragraphs. We switched it up. We made 3 paragraphs. So follow the sample, but just kind of look at the layout that she did. And then she predicted, well, if Thompson were alive today, what he would be doing. She predicted he'd be in science education, and then she explained what he would be doing in regards to science education, working at a prestigious university and financing buildings and equipment to further studies and research. Okay, so that's that. Here's her atomic comic. She explained how the cathode ray tube is helpful to her today. Okay, like she can watch The Office. Okay. Last year they had to have 5 facts, so we changed it up. So it's 3 facts about your scientist and then 3 facts about your element. And then this is her element page, having all that information. Here's a fun activity. She just had a coloring page here, coloring the Thomson's atom model. So that's the model, and then just coloring it in. And then Ellie, it's in 3rd person. Ellie Gianola is a current junior at Jesuit High School in her free time, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Remember 3 sentences, selfie, Jesuit dress code, and there's her works cited. That's really good. And I'm gonna hop to one more. This is Emma Nguyen's Samuel Ting and the Atomic Theory. So there's an image of Sam, the scientist, his discovery, and they only had to have 2 paragraphs, you're doing 3. And if you were alive today, he would also be in science education. Here's her atomic comic related to quarks. And then her fun fact, fast facts, again, they had to have 5, but you have to have 6, but we changed it up. Here's her element page. She did a word find, words related to Samuel Ting. Did 10 words, if it's, remember, it's a word puzzle. And there's her about the author and her works cited. In the Zoom chat, what's wrong with her works cited? I just noticed that. What's wrong with her works cited? So if you can, in the Zoom chat, put in what is wrong with her works cited. There's a couple things wrong with it, actually. Okay, no one's participating? Oh, here we go. Okay. See one answer. Haley, did you put an answer in yet? Alex Hudson?
Particularly if you don't have your
Oh, here we
camera
go.
on,
Yeah.
you should
So
be responding in
it's
chat.
not indented correctly, and yes, it's not organized or in alphabetical order correctly. It has the HTTPS. Oh wow, you guys are smart, Mr. Cameron. I forgot to look at the HTTPS. So yeah, so it does not need to have the HT. So in that first example, Encyclopedia World Biography Online, she technically should have gotten rid of that and had link.gale. Okay, and it's not in alphabetical order because it goes Samuel, Samuel, Ting, Samuel, so that's not correct. And then it's just indented, it's not in reverse indent. Okay. But overall, she did a great job with her design. The theme, like we're gonna talk about design later next week, but that's the organization of that. Okay. So you should have downloaded a copy of the slide deck, the template. Hop to the template. Number 3, the student template. Here's a rubric if you want to know how it's graded. You'll be watching a video, an Edpuzzle, on how it is going to be graded. The requirements for the slide decks, I kind of explained those as I was doing the example. Any questions for the good of the order? I'm going to stop sharing.